Record to the computer. Okay, we're just waiting for everything to start up here. Looks like we are good. Not now. Excellent. Hello, everybody. We are on ReFrame Friday, coming at you live on coming to you live, baby. Darci knows what I'm talking about. I'm a catfish coolie. Yeah. So Darci's with me. How's it going tonight, Darci?
Not too bad. Just drove in from Calgary and looking forward to what we have in store for tonight.
Absolutely. So I just kind of doing an impromptu thing because I felt like I was going to do this anyways. And then I was like, Darci, you want to hop on this call and we can do it together? And you said, of course, yes. So thank you. So we're Facebook Live right now and YouTube Live and Twitter Live. So we're streaming to 3 different platforms. LinkedIn has not allowed us in there yet. I don't have quite enough followers yet. So unfortunately, but yeah, it's LinkedIn. Anyways, okay, so what we're going to do now is so ReFrame Friday is all about, it's pretty self-explanatory, but coming up with something that's been left unchallenged in your life, or like basically going into the weekend with this whole like, okay, what happened to you during the week that you just need to get rid of this energy before you go into the weekend. We're going to do something a little bit different though, under the same theme of reframing though, and that's going to be reframing some of your words. So some of these words that get used quite often in people's dialogue, inner dialogue, and then the words that are getting then used to other people around them in relationships. So I am going to bring up a Google document that we're going to work off of here. And we call this stuff action language here. It's it's the language for getting unstuck. So I'm just going to start with a couple things here, Darci. Excuse me. So just to kind of set the tone for everything, abracadabra. When you hear abracadabra, what do you think of first?
Magic.
Of course, the man with the rabbit coming out of the hat and such.
Absolutely,
of course.
Yeah.
So the really cool thing about abracadabra, the origin of the word, it's actually Aramaic. And the direct translation is, with my words, I create, and with my words, I influence.
Oh, neat.
So pretty cool, like literal, the origin of the word abracadabra, when you think about it like that, is pretty cool. So from that, I go into the definition of a spell. So kind of keeping with the theme of like mystical, kind of like magical sort of themes. But then when you actually give the definition behind it, takes on a kind of a different meaning. It's always unusual to look up a dictionary definition of a word and go, okay, because, we use these words all the time, but then to actually look at how they're sort of meant to be used and how we've been using them can often be very, very different things. So spell definition, a series of words used to control or influence people as though it has magic power over them. So, I mean, you and I have been watching like Harry Potter recently. So, the magic themes in there, but interesting to think, like when you break it down like that, it's it's again, the power of words is sort of the theme of tonight here. So it's just a series of words used to control or influence people as if it has a magic spell over them. So I'm sort of challenging, throwing it out to everybody and to you, Darci, that there's probably a lot of spells that we put ourselves under, right? And it's based from being raised a certain way. There's a lot of statements of negation being used in parenting. And it's the way, I mean, we do it with the dogs too, like that, don't do that. And you shouldn't be doing that and put that down. It's very reactionary behavior to correct the behavior of your kid or your dog or whatever it may be. Right. So, but that sticks with you. So it sort of accumulates over time. And before you know it, your self-talk can kind of start taking on these like spells, and your limiting beliefs essentially are like a form of a spell, right? So pretty interesting stuff. So I wanted to that sort of sets the table a little bit, like the mystical or the magical power of words. So, and then we get into the yin and the yang, the dualities of life, basically, right? Out of chaos, the universe balances itself with contrary forces and paradoxes. So light and dark, negative, positive, masculine, feminine, both, the both sides of the brain. You got the creative side, the logical side, and, the spiritual world. So sort of your true self or your soul, if you will, versus like the material world, like you're putting yourself out there, more of an ego-based stance, and sort of how that applies with us. There's a few different things, but specifically when we talk about stuck points, the dialogue that we're using, that's just where we feel very stuck in certain things in our lives. versus goal setting. So you want to become unstuck, the negative side of things, before you start actually properly goal setting, right? So you want to be in the right mindset before you start goal setting. So that's sort of the positive negative journey that we'll take. And big focus on breath. So breath is when breath is trapped in sort of like that stress response. I don't know how it is for you at work, Darci. I know for me, very much, people always talk about fight and flight as a stress response, but there's also freeze, which was very much how I was. I would just stop. If I had like to send an email, I had a phone going off, I had somebody talking to me.
Yep.
I held my breath. Absolutely. And even when I'm working at home, I'm finding that I hold my breath when I'm focusing. So I do the freeze, which is obviously very, very detrimental to your health. And even if you're doing have a mild stress response, you're going to have your breath sort of trapped up in your chest, right? So how is it for you? Like, are you aware? A lot of people aren't even aware of the way they're breathing until they start focusing on it. And, somewhere along the line from you look at babies breathing, they're always doing the abdomen breaths. Somewhere along the line, us as adults start losing the ability to almost breathe properly in that sense, like the abdomen breathing, like really gets you down into the parasympathetic state. How is your breathing? Have you been aware of it? Or like, how would you audit your breathing?
Yeah, I definitely room for improvement. Just like you, I tend to hold my breath when I'm concentrating really hard or when I'm trying to get through something, or I definitely kind of just like my whole body gets tense. And then of course, as a side note, then my breathing then stops a little bit too, just in that moment until I remind myself to breathe again. And then I'm a little bit more conscious of it, but there's room for improvement there for sure.
Definitely. I mean, the first step is always awareness, right? Awareness is where you can start making the adjustments. But if you're not even aware of it, if things go left unchecked, then that's when it really gets into problems. The longer you leave it, the harder it is to break the habit as well. So no, that's good that you can identify that. I think that's a lot of people's ways is if like I say, if there's even a mild stress response at a job that you have, you're going to, generally speaking, you're going to be trapped in your chest if you're breathing at all. And if you're freezing, you're focusing on something, so yeah, tricky stuff. So just to keep that in mind.
It's funny. I noticed that at the gym too, when I'm really trying to get through that one last rep, I hold my breath and then it's like a big release after. So, yeah.
And that's what they always tell you, even at yoga too, like when you're focusing on doing the movements, like making sure you're holding your posture and everything.
But make sure you continue breathing at the same time.
Yeah, you have to remind yourself to breathe. That's why a lot of instructors, personal and trainers and yoga instructors, if they walk by, they'll remind you, right? They'll point out to you if you're just holding it. Yeah, it's a very common thing for sure. So yeah, no, good call on that as well. Okay, here we go. This is the first language game. So we're going to get into soft talk. So soft talk versus solid talk. So soft talk, as you know, I have the keywords posted up in my study, but obviously we can't see that. But examples, I gave some examples: guess, maybe, could, should, think, possibly, hope, try. So when you hear these words, I mean, the backstory on soft talk is that it's used to soften a conversation, or basically like to say, I guess we could do that. Instead of being like super assertive, you can kind of use these soft talk words to sort of temper your message, right? So the only thing with soft talk though is it can be very ambiguous, right? It's when you are offered to go somewhere, like a house party or something. Yeah, maybe I'll be there. Or like it allows you to be non-committal, even to a time. Will you be there? I'll be there. I'll possibly be there about 6:30, or I'll try to be there for 7, right? That means you're not going to be there for 7. You're already signaling to yourself and then other people as well that you can't really be pinned down, which is usually the intent. But it's what you want to do if you want to clean this up. I always suggest start with yourself first. You should never be using soft talk with yourself, or very rarely. See, now I'm using extreme language. Never. Yeah. So there's and that rarely room for extreme language. Was like very rarely, if ever. I'll back it off slightly. Should you use soft talk with yourself? And we'll get into why right now. So I have a couple examples here: soft talk versus solid talk. So soft talk, the sentence is, if you have the time, could you maybe look at getting this done? So you hear that manager say that, you'd be like, yeah, like, for sure. But you're just kind of like, well, it wasn't like, didn't seem like that worked up about it, or it didn't seem like super time sensitive or anything. He said, if I could, you know what I mean? So you're thinking, okay, what kind of results are you going to get with that? Versus solid talk. I need you to get this done tonight before you go home, please. So which one would you,
There's so
prefer?
much less room for interpretation with the second one, right? Like
Right.
it's a definitive, this needs to be done, where the other one's just kind of like, whatever, right?
Yeah, if you can, maybe
Yeah.
get it done. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally. So the good thing that I learned from doing these projects and these workshops and everything is, if you add manners to the end, you can be very assertive and very clear with the direction. And then if you have manners, that has the same effect that you're going for as what soft talk would. With soft talk, you're trying to keep everything sort of tempered and not come across like, the asshole boss or manager, right? But if you just do what you're supposed to do as a manager and as a leader and be concise with your directions, and then just add manners to it, there you go. So that's the best of both worlds, right? So that was an interesting thing. I enjoyed learning about that. So let's get into soft talk, specifically with goal setting. Like, I know we're kind of getting close into March here, but let's just say, because we're still close to the beginning of the year, New Year's resolution. Let's just, for, this doesn't have to be necessarily one of yours, because I know you've been killing all your even before the New Year's, like by November, you've been doing great with the gym, lots of different other things. So kudos to you. But just for the sake of the game here, let's just do a resolution or a goal, but let's add one of these soft talk words in there, and I'll type it up for you. So what would be like?
It's funny because I do have one that I'm not doing very well with right now. So we'll go ahead and do that one.
Let's do it.
I should really try to eat better while I'm on the road.
Okay.
I'm eating horribly right now.
Yeah, sure. And that is tough when I am on the road. Okay. So read that back, please, and just get a nice breath afterwards. Just do a nice, 3-4 second inhale, 4 or 5 second exhale. Just read that one out, please.
I should really try to eat better when I'm on the road.
Okay, nice breath. Nice. So how do you feel mentally and physically? Like, how does that show up when you say that sentence? How is that like, how does that charge feel for you? Like when you say that?
There's like no conviction behind it, right? So
yep.
It's not necessarily a goal. It's more of a suggestion to myself.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's good. Doesn't feel like a goal.
No.
It's like a casual, like suggestion almost, you said, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Nice. All right. So we're gonna take, so should is a classic soft talk word. So I'm glad you used that one. The Tony Robbins Tony Robbins phrases, we should all over. Yeah. You're always shoulding all over yourself. It's kind of funny. I like it. So let's so this is interesting. This is where it kind of gets fun. This is the language game. So we just pluck one word out. So we're going to pluck the should. We're just going to go to could. And we'll take the really. I could try to eat better when I am on. Same thing. If you can read that one with a breath after, please.
I could try to eat better when I'm on the road.
Interesting. Breath. How did that sentence change? You definitely read it differently. The inflection was different.
Absolutely. And it felt more like a statement to myself than like a suggestion.
So it, yes, pivoted from a suggestion to a statement. So when you say statement, is that
it's still not still doesn't quite feel like a goal necessarily, but
there's more conviction potentially.
More conviction than the first one. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Well, let's go one step further. So could turn it into can. Hello, trout. Okay. So Hello. So we went should, could, let's try can.
I can try to eat better when I'm on the road.
Big breath after that. Excellent, excellent. Again, definitely different inflection that time. How did that one feel with the can?
Well, it felt better, but I keep looking at that try in there and I don't like that anymore.
Good catch. Okay, so now you're looking at it. Now you're sizing up a different word.
Yeah.
I like that. Let's before we even type that out, let's just wipe that one right out then. Boom.
There we go.
See, one word at a time. Let's try that.
I can eat better when I'm on the road.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Good breath. Okay. And differences for that one.
That one felt like a positive affirmation. Like telling myself I can do it instead of,
Felt like does it feel like does it ring true for you? Like, does it resonate with you?
Well, absolutely. Cause I know I can do it. Most of the time, or no, I'm getting better with it. That's for sure. So
there we go.
I know I can do it. So.
Okay. Excellent. So having said that, one last step for this one. Okay, before you read it, I want you to finish that sentence and I'll type it up.
I can eat better when I'm on the road because I have the tools to do the job.
Define your tools.
I have the skills. I have the knowledge to do this.
Perfect.
And I have the patterns in place to do this.
Okay, let's try that. So read that one, please, with the breath after.
I can eat better when I'm on the road because I have the knowledge and the patterns to do this.
Nice. The breath after. Beautiful.
Nice.
Very good read. Good breath. How does that one feel?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, cool.
Makes me feel like, I can do that.
I can do that.
Neat.
Yeah, cool. So obviously it's when we get into affirmations, we like to kind of like refine it or distill it down. So that one is obviously a little bit wordy, but the reason that we did, the reason we did this is because just that, for the word because. And there's a quick little funny story behind using because in a sentence like this. There was a study that was done. It's called the photocopier study, something along those lines. And it's basically this guy that was budding in line to get to a photocopier at this office. And he would just say, I need to get butt in front of you and get these copies done because I'm late for a meeting. And he just started adding a because, and people were letting him in, I think 30 to 40% more often than had he just gone, hey, do you mind if I butt in line? As soon as he put it because, even to the point that he would go to the front of the line, go, hey, I need to butt in front of you because I need to make copies. Like the reason why he's butting in line. There was no like, I have to get home to my family or anything like that. Just the word because was enough for people to go, oh, kind of like back off and let him do it. So because can really supercharge a statement. So you took something that started with, I should really try to eat better when I'm on the road. And it ended with, I can eat better when I'm on the road because I have the knowledge and patterns to do this. So huge turnaround, right? And that's just a matter of a little bit of awareness for what you're intro, a little bit of awareness and some tweaks and just plucking out a few words. That's still the exact same thing that you said at the beginning, just with a few words changed around and a because to supercharge it. So pretty cool.
Yeah, just changing things around, changing the way you like look at things, right?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Cool.
So let's we can probably take out the probably here. I'm doing soft talk now. We could probably maybe get like an affirmation out of this.
Maybe if we try.
We will get an affirmation out of this right now. I can eat better when I'm on the road. So we already have the because. So something that'll be nice and easy for you to remember. I can eat better on the road. Boom. That's your affirmation. I can eat better on the road.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a perfect time to go to language game number 2, action language, if you will, number 2.
All right.
This one's called the Should Detox. So it was great that you chose the word should above, because we can bring that one right down and we'll show you. Let's see here. You know what? We basically just did the impromptu should detox up above.
Perfect.
So it's kind of funny. So, you know what? Let's, it's basically the I should. And here, as we mentioned here, it's like the should, take should to could to can to can, and because.
Yeah, that's literally what we just did. That's awesome.
We did, yeah, perfect. So
cool.
It's kind of funny that we sort of combined the soft talk challenge with the should detox. So that's pretty cool. Neat. Okay, well, in that case, we'll just do one more here, ladies and gentlemen. And this one's a little bit tricky for some people. So we'll see how it's an interesting take. It's basically, so it's projections and reflections. So projections are, examples of projections. They, it, he or she. So she is making me feel uncomfortable, versus a reflection would be, I am making me feel uncomfortable. So that's tricky for a lot of people because they don't want to let somebody off the hook, right? And this isn't necessarily, in fact, it's not about letting life happens. People get on your nerves. It's just the way that it is. But the way to take your power back is to accept the way that you're responding. It isn't just a reaction. You're taking a minute. And again, we're talking about the breathing. Take a breath and accept how you're responding to the situation or the person. And that's where the point of reflection comes. So that's how you take your power back in a scenario like this. And, it's a whole different thing we talk about, victim mentality, potentially comes out of this, right? When people are always just blaming situations and other people and so forth. That's a whole nother video. But so the option with this though is too, is like, anybody that's like in a position of like management or coaching and mentoring and all that. The one way that you can back somebody off of a projection, and it's too far of a jump for them to go to a reflection because they're like, no, that person does make me uncomfortable, like that whole thing. Right. Get them breathing, get them relaxed, calm them down. And then this is kind of a humorous way to do it. So it's called and my only option is to. So it basically goes, she is making me feel uncomfortable. And my only option is to remain frustrated and closed off. So then then the person reads it back and kind of, wait a second, clearly I have more options than, than the behavior that has been coming out, but the way I've been responding. So then at least it's a kind of a tricky way, to kind of go around the bend and then have them reflect on their behavior. So that's the other way around it is, so when people don't want to make that jump to accept their response, this is the best way to do it. So it's a little bit of a Jedi mind trick to get them to do it.
Kind of takes the piss out of them too.
It does, right? Because otherwise it's very tricky because people want their somebody to blame. I'm generalizing. Some people want, the safety net is to be able to blame somebody or something, right? And to have this victim mentality, but that's where it keeps you stuck. And that's what keeps you from moving on and achieving the goals like we've been talking about. So let's do a quick one of these. So, yeah, let's think of a projection. Did you have anything? Oh, you know what? Okay. So you do a lot of driving, like you're doing a lot of driving in there. So down in Calgary and back and forth and all that. So let's go with, let's just for fun. That lady cut.
That's so funny. That's exactly what I was thinking in my mind.
Yes. Okay.
Yep.
Let's try that one. Read that.
That lady was driving in my blind spot.
Yes. Okay, big breath. Need you to breathe after that. You're getting worked up. Remembering this lady. Nice. And how does that feel when you just curious, like even in play, like how does that feel to do?
Frustrating.
Right.
Bad drivers piss me off.
Sure. So you immediately have this like visual of bad drivers, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And how does frustration show up in your body? Like, where do you feel it?
Tense. Yeah, when I'm driving, it's probably like in my chest and in my abdomen and stuff.
Shoulders, sort of like, yeah, abdomen,
Yeah.
shoulders, maybe not shoulder,
Clenching my fist.
abdomen, you said.
Yeah.
Kind of like a tighten up or close off sort of thing.
Clenching and
Clench. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, clench. And yeah, you can feel the frustration. And you had visuals of this.
As you said, I do a lot of driving.
Right.
So
exactly.
it happens quite often.
Okay. So let's go. Obviously, we can't go to a direct reflection to be like, I was driving in my, which doesn't make any sense. But the whole idea is like, this person, obviously, there's no way that they would know the make of your car, exactly where the blind spot is on your car, knows exactly the speed you're going, so they can stay directly in your blind spot is very unlikely, right? So,
yeah.
So let's try and relieve this a little bit. That lady was driving my blind spot. We could do something like, let's just pretend like you're wanting to pass, because what I'm picturing is when you're in the slow lane and you have to pass somebody, and then that person comes up behind you and they don't go fast enough. Yeah. And you're just like, can you pass so I can pass now too?
Yeah.
So let's just say it's that scenario. So a lady's driving in my blind spot and won't pass me. Okay, so that is the projection. There's some truth to it, though. I mean, the lady is in your blind spot, but it's like I think it's about controlling your response. I can. Okay, try reading that with a breath after.
I can speed up and pass her, and I can wait for her to pass.
Breath after. How is that different to read?
It definitely feels a little calmer. I don't feel the tension and the frustration in my upper body.
Yeah. And just for the sake of it, because this one wasn't as a good an example, simply because you can't, usually what you do is you take the finger and point it back on yourself. But in this instance, when you're talking about road rage or like driving, you can't drive in your own blind spot. So you're like, I am driving in my blind spot. It doesn't really work, right? So but this is okay. So the you get the idea though. It's like it's bringing the attention back to you, breathing. How am I responding to this?
But maybe I was in the wrong. Maybe I was doing a weird speed and she was doing
wondering what you were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Perfect. See, so now that you can find a degree of harmony this way, like you're working together, you got to, for the safety of everybody, it's much better if people are more understanding like that than the road rage alternative.
I'm sure I'm not a perfect driver either. So
sure. That's right. Exactly. That's the thing with these types of things. She could be thinking the same thing as you, going, this lady, like I want to pass her, but like she's
doing the exact same speed as me or whatever.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. So or worried that she's in your blind spot. She's like, oh, I think I might be in her blind spot. I don't want to so who knows? Okay, but finally, just because we want to do that last one there, we will do that lady driving in my blind spot, and my only option is to curse her out and get angry. All right, so just for the fun of it, can you read that one, please?
That lady is driving in my blind spot, and my only option is to curse her out and get angry.
Yeah, nice.
That's just ridiculous,
right? So it's funny, yeah. I love that one because it and then it gets you laughing too, right? You're like, okay,
Yeah, for
the only
sure.
option is to stay super angry and have a Larry David style, meltdown. That's kind of like when I get angry, as you know. So, uh, so yeah, awesome. No, good, great work. So and then, yeah, you can kind of see at the bottom here, the whole idea is to move out of like conflict language, dramatic, things that create drama and overly dramatize our communication with ourselves as well as with other people, right? So that's basically the idea. So moving from conflict language to what we call architect language, which is all about building yourself up, building other people up, and maintaining that and keeping people there. So that is action language 101, action language, the starting point, I guess, for us. And it's on ReFrame Friday. So Darci, thanks so much for being the test subject.
Of course.
And,
thanks for having me.
Yeah. Anything like, what did you get anything out of this? Was it cool? Did you enjoy it? What did you like?
Yeah, no, I really like the just reframing the way you say things to yourself. It's so important, right? Like you talk to yourself all day, every day. So like
Yep.
I often think of like how I talk to my best friend. And if I talk to her like I talk to myself, she wouldn't be my best friend, right?
Totally.
So
Yeah.
your self-talk is so important. So reframing it is, well, reframe Friday, right?
You betcha.
Yeah, for sure.
Excellent.
Very important.
Excellent. Thanks, Darci. And thanks everybody. And we'll have a great weekend. I'll be coming back at you over the weekend with some sound therapy stuff and some live performances, potentially with Ground Level Falcons on Sunday. Not potentially. See, soft talk.
Yeah.
We're coming at you Sunday morning live.
Can't wait.
Ground Level Falcons. All right.
Yeah.
Have a good weekend, everybody.
Okay, bye guys.